Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. We often, always, I was going to say often, but then I think it's always happens, that 99% of our political leaders indulge in double talk, duplicitous, hypocritical, and the main purpose is to mislead, to misinform people. We show our concern where it is not. We want to pose and appear as holier than thou, honest, caring. And those homilies delivered by the leaders are at best ridiculous. Being of South Asian origin and living in Canada, let's see what our leaders do here. In this country, Canada, we have a leader who is extremely young and shows concern for the human rights. As a matter of fact, his concern is infectious. And the concern for the human rights is a welcome thing. Why should the human rights not be expected? But isn't the pot black itself? Why should it call a kettle black? We have always deprived the native Canadians of all their human rights. We have not been bothered about their water availability, the disappearance of the women, the narcotic use, and so on and so forth. The list is endless. Apologizing for the wrongs done to them in the 19th century and the 18th century is in no way amending the situation or making their lives better. And yet we start crying about a human rights violation in Myanmar of all the places. But we are mum, absolutely dumb even, mute, maybe even deaf mute, when it's a case of China violating the human rights of everybody. We are very vocal about human rights violation in Saudi Arabia, but when more than 1 million people are imprisoned in China, we don't say a single word. That is real hypocrisy. But then that is not the sole prerogative of our Canadian leader. I was amused when Pakistan Prime Minister the other day made a statement. And the statement was laughable if it had not been tragic for the people of Pakistan. He said that Pakistan would teach India how to look after the minorities. Now, this must have sent warning signals to the Indian minorities, because if the Indian government treats them the way Pakistan treats the minorities, then that would be a sad day. It is blasphemy and punishable with death if you even hint of opposing Islam. But doing anything, there have been cases where a person threw a visiting card with the name Muhammad in the waste paper basket and he was arrested. And Imran Khan himself appointed his advisor, a great economist who could have turned the face of Pakistan. But within a week of his appointment, he had to leave because he happened to be Ahmadiyya. And Ahmadiyyas are not supposed to hold important jobs since they are not deemed Muslim. And then he is teaching India to be more careful about the minorities. Well, I'm not holding any brief for India. I know people in India have suffered, minorities have suffered, and that happens everywhere. But then the policy of the government is not to make them suffer. Let's be very clear. India is an outstanding example of equal treatment, and the courts are very open and the press is very open. But still things happen. I have no grounds against Nasiruddin Shah saying that there is a danger lurking for the Muslims. Well, he's a citizen of India and he has every right to express his opinion, even if it's critical of India, why not? But when Imran says that they'll teach India how to treat the minorities, so let's first see how Pakistan treats minorities. Baloch and Pashtuns are the two big minorities which are Muslim, and yet they are suffering. They are political and cultural minorities. Now come to Hindus and Sikhs. The number of the Hindu girls kidnapped crossed all limits last year, and the case was in the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court could not take any action. The case of Asisa Bibi, the Christian woman who had not done anything wrong and who was recently released after about many years of being in jail, since it is said that she has criticized Islam, being Christian. She was to be hanged. High Court had sentenced her to be hanged by neck, but Supreme Court intervened. And till today, her lawyer and they are not allowed to leave Pakistan. They want to leave Pakistan because they don't feel safe there. The Islamic, or rather the Pakistani constitution says that the head of the state cannot be anybody except a Muslim. Now, a state which differentiates legally between two communities, a state which punishes people because of their religion, a state where a number of people are disenfranchised because they belong to a different sect, even if they are Muslim. Who do we think that they are treating minorities in a proper manner? If that is a treatment, fair treatment, then God save Indian minorities from such advice from Pakistan. You see, you can fool people for some time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. And these politicians forget whom are they fooling. In this age of information, things cannot be kept secret, hidden, beyond the knowledge of the people at large. Somebody somewhere would be a whistleblower, and that will reveal the reality. So Imran Khan saying that he'll teach India how to treat minorities is possibly a double-edged sword. For him, the minorities in Pakistan can very well claim, okay, you are so concerned about the minorities in India. How about showing some concern for us? The same way as the native Canadians have been asking the Canadian government, you are concerned about the human rights violation in Myanmar, in Philippines, in Saudi Arabia. What about us? Are we not human beings? I'm reminded of that famous speech by Shylock in Merchant of Venice, where he says, if you injure us, do we not feel pain? If you wound us, does our blood not flow? Is our blood not of red color? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? So minorities of any country have a right to ask this question from the government. Why the differential treatment? But when the head of that country says that he'll teach an opposing country how to treat minorities, while treating his own people in a ham-handed manner, it's not a joke. It's a tragedy. Second question, which arises along with this is the same Prime Minister who in August had declared that his concept of Naya Pakistan, the new Pakistan, would be to convert it into Medina. Medina not of today, but Medina of the 7th century. Backward and absolutely unprogressive. Those are the dark ages. I have no objection, and I fully admit that at that time the Medina might have been one of the most progressive places in the world to live in. But if your aim is to go back to that era, as some of the Indian leaders are also saying, go back to the past, it's basically a reversal of progress. So how does Imran Khan reconcile the concept of Medina state and new Pakistan? The new should give a progressive, futuristic outlook and not a regressive, reactive outlook. And that's what Imran Khan was saying. Secondly, and more importantly, that was absolutely a place, from the modern point of view, a place of unenlightenment. So does he want to keep Pakistan an unenlightened state and yet give homilies to India to treat minorities in a better manner? They say to physician, physician, heal thyself first. So if Imran has a desire to be Messiah for the minorities in India, let him first become a Messiah of minorities in Pakistan. This is a wanton interference in the internal Indian affairs. You know, I have always been very open. I criticized and censored Justin Trudeau, went to Philippines and tried to twist the arm of Duterte, thereby getting rebuked in return. I have always been against the US intervention anywhere, whether it was Libya or Iraq or Kuwait or whatever, or Syria for that matter. No country has a right to intervene either in their political affairs or in their cultural affairs. Let each country manage itself until and unless the legitimate government of that country invites your help. Then, of course, you go help. But uninvited intervention is an invasion. It's an act of war, and it should be condemned. Nobody in India asked the advice of Imran Khan. Least of all, even the Indian Muslims told him not to interfere, not to look after them. They can look after themselves. Such sort of intervention is self-defeating and rather adds to the misery of the minorities. Now, when Imran Khan says that he will like the government of India to be told how to treat the minorities by a government which cannot treat the minorities properly, the inference would be that Muslims in case, or Sikhs in case, these are the two minorities which are supported by Pakistan, may have even a genuine demand, they will be called agents of Pakistan. So in fact, Imran is making their life worse. And that is absolutely not acceptable. He poses to be a helper, and he is in fact acting as an enemy. The reality of the word is that we want to show others that we are good without being good. Let's not forget, charity begins at home. Clean your house first and then do something or give suggestion to the others. Till that time, let our leaders keep their mouth shut and not intervene in the affairs of others. Let them be more concerned with the people whom they represent, whom they are supposed to look after, rather than poking their noses in the affairs of others and thus making the situation worse, making the confusion worse confounded. These do-gooders are not required. Let's be very clear. The do-gooders are not needed by the others. Yes, if they invite them, give your suggestions, give your advice, give your help. But otherwise, you have to adopt an absolutely non-intervention point of view. And that is the way to maintain peace. Let each country mind its own business. Thank you.